you assume that I have an obligation. If you're even going to give me the time of day, dude, you assume that I need to make sense when I'm talking to you. But in a world where there is no God, why am I obligated to be rational?
You're not obligated. It's just you can't expect me to take that in an intelligent way and actually process it. And there are some people like me and these people in this crowd that decide that they're not going to do things, take on moral assumptions, or live certain actions unless they've intelligently processed it. And telling me that Jesus came and died for me is not something I can intelligently process because I have no evidence of it, and the fact of the matter is, objectively, nobody has any evidence of it. There are private feelings that people retroactively claim is evidence of the existence of God, but I could claim them as the existence of Jesus or of homosexuality as being the supreme way of life. I could claim it as being anything, but
how do you know that?
How do I know what?
How do you know that? How do you come to conclusions about reality?
Well, there's a mathematical process that we call logic that's been studied, can be studied. There's a lot of dispute, but mostly people agree. And empiricism is the study of evidence which is commonly observed. Anything that can be commonly observed, private feelings that can't be transmitted, that people, things like God exist. There is no common observation of that. That's the reason why we don't believe schizophrenic people when they tell us about their friends.
Trust your senses and reasoning to determine whether something's true or not, right?
Yes.
Okay.
As far as I'm following the mathematical process of logic.
Kal halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rahaka Kudash. Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom Yasharala. Just a few quick words for the brothers dealing with the scoffers and scorners on the comment board. Especially if you're a brother like myself who struggles sometimes with bouts of getting angry. I admit I have gotten frustrated with the naysayers in the past. I have a low tolerance for stupidity, i.e. science falsely so-called, and particularly anybody armed with psychobabble like young Einstein in the opening clip here. Newsflash, the word for truth in the Hebrew is amath, the same place in which we get the word math. Mathematics has long proved Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai's existence in the very same way he himself laid out, and I'm speaking of junior thesis in the opening clip. In fact, Elder Apostle Gabar did a great lesson on it, highlighting the work of Ivan Panin, who proved the truth of the scriptures is balanced by numbers. Obviously, any conjecture with an elder from GMS would have totally went another way. For those of you who haven't seen the debate, this one in particular, in the of the opening clip before, I'll add a link to the description box. The young atheist in that video is the poster boy for the pride of Esau, the proof Yahweh has not dealt so with any other nation, and why we don't, or why we shouldn't cast our pearls amongst swine. When you give unbelievers the truth, they turn against it, then you. I was having a conversation with a young lady about some things she's experienced in the truth, and needless to say, I also get frustrated with so-called brothers who say they're coming in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, but their actions don't match. This is Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 26, and it reads, "For among my people are found wicked men. They lay wait as he that setteth snares. They set a trap, they catch men. For among my people are found wicked men." A word to the wise, there are no expectations in life. If anything, expect to be let down. The only thing you can depend on is the word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. In my experience, those that claim being the operative word, those that claim to be righteous, godly, spiritual, oh, I'm very spiritual, and even some of the truth can be the most ill-intentioned, the most self-righteous, and the first to be willful and justify what is wicked. But that is of Yahweh's will, to allow the unworthy, those that lack integrity and are insincere, amongst the worthy, those that are not only hearers of the word, but doers of the word, as an example for the elect, those that not only hear, but do, on how not to be. In general, man's idea of righteousness and Yahweh's righteousness, two different things. Man's righteousness unto the Lord is as filthy rags, loosely paraphrasing Isaiah 64 and 6. Back in Jeremiah, they lay wait as he that setteth snares. They set a trap, they catch men. Of course, this speaks to those who may plot and scheme to relieve you of your hard-earned, but it also applies to those who, through bad examples and ill-advised counsel, draw you into sin. Case in point, if you listen to some of the reasoning behind While some of these other camps say it's okay to be vaccinated, you are clearly being led down a road to destruction. Given the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians' history with disease, needles, and experiments, why would you let Esau inject you with anything that hasn't gone through the proper channels and being tested? I digress, but the point I was beginning to make is despite the intent of whoever the shoe fits, there is a proper way in which to address situations which you may find yourself being intentionally provoked, and never assume someone will have your best interests at heart, especially when it comes to contending over the gospel. On the surface, that seems to be stating the obvious, but what I'm saying is some will come at you, especially in the cyber world, preaching good and being just to rock you to sleep or make an example out of you. The key is not to get caught up in emotions. Boys get emotional, men get to the point. Now, who said that? Me. Something I came up with after watching myself get frustrated with the heathen. James 1:19 says this, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath." Now, of course, those of you who are sincere, your first inclination is to take offense to what is being said, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's really about how you handle what you think you hear, meaning most times when you're caught up in emotions, it's hard to discern what exactly is being said. No need to talk all over the individual, and being the loudest doesn't make you right. Properly assess what is being said by listening to and then hearing the whole matter before you set out to respond. Proverbs 18:13, "He that answereth a matter before he heareth it, it is folly and a shame unto him." I know in some cases it's Salakia, easier said than done, but this is where discipline comes into play. Something I learned in the secular world as a law student that I'm having to relearn to apply to dealing with the truth. And I say relearn because one, the stakes are totally different. Two, really because the gravity of the thing is so much more. Proverbs 14:29, "He that is slow to wrath is of great understanding, but he that is hasty of spirit exalteth folly." So don't get mad, get attentive, and let him supply the rope to hang himself. When confronted by a worldwide weirdo, that's what I call these guys on the internet, who thinks he can play, he thinks he can play God because he can play a keyboard, do this very simple thing laid out in the book of Proverbs. This is Proverbs chapter 26, verse 4, and it reads, "Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him." Meaning, don't use the scoffer's ideology as the basis or foundation of your conjecture. You'll be defined and left subject to being judged by the same parameters he has set. If you base your argument on his stupid point, then he ain't the fool. You are. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. Meaning, use his own ideology and theorizing to expose the error in his premise, lest he show himself the wiser and lay regard to his folly. I heard Elder Malcolm do something similar the other day when Internet Reject says Yahweh Shai, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus, wasn't black, he was olive colored. You say black is not a color, it's a contrast, and certainly not a skin color. No one individual is black. You're either different shades of red or different shades of brown. Brown kind of like the same color as olives. You know what Worldwide Weirdo's gonna say? Well, there are black olives. Point, set, game, match. Remember, your job is not to change his mind. Only Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah can do that if he so wills. Our job is to shut his condescending pie hole by exposing his error. When the Sadducees were going off concerning the resurrection, what was the first thing Yahweh Shai said? Matthew 22:29. Yahweh Shai answered and said unto them, "Ye do err, not knowing the scriptures, nor the power of the heavenly Father." Just me thinking out loud and something I had to share. In any event, I didn't intend for this to be a long lesson. Kal halal Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem Akakwadash, to the power of spirit. I hope you were edified. Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach 100% truth and rule well. Salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom Yasharallah. Don't take that test. Don't take that jab. And damn sure don't take that
We
chip.
need to make it clear to them that the vaccine is the ticket back to pre-pandemic life. And the window to do that is really narrowing. I mean, you were mentioning, Chris, about how all these states are reopening. They're reopening at 100%. And we have a very narrow window to tie reopening policy to vaccination status. Because otherwise, if everything is reopened, then what's the carrot going to be? How are we going to incentivize people to actually get the vaccine?